Look at that bubbly goodness.
Wikipedia's usually got some zany theories about where food comes from. I imagine if I was to type shepherd's pie into Wikipedia, I'd get something like this. In the 19th century, in northern Wales, a farmer was having a late-night wrestling practice with his strongest specimen next to the fireplace where dinner was simmering for the two of them to enjoy after their bout. When all of a sudden the pair rolled out of the paddle pool cum bubble bath and smacked into the pot. A potato flew from the pot and landed atop the exhausted young quadruped, and the farmer shouted, "Eureka!" or something like that. The rest is history. This is Shepherd's Pie 1.0. Roll on with the food. So one of the few ways that I felt like I could elevate the humble shepherd's pie was by using a lamb shank instead of ground lamb. So it needs to be braised, obviously. So you've got your basic carrot, onion and celery. Just gonna saute them all off and get some brown out of them so that eventually the sauce will be nice and brown. I found some lovely lamb shanks at Whole Foods for considerably cheaper than ground lamb, and I find lamb shanks to be much more versatile as well. Keeping the skins on the onion will aid in coaxing out the caramelized look that we want for the sauce. It'll add to the browning of the gravy. Once everything is nice and brown, I'm going to deglaze with half a bottle of Shiraz. I like the Shiraz with lamb just because of the peppery red berry notes that you get from a Shiraz. Fresh bay leaves, fresh thyme and fresh marjoram. And then everything into my slow cooker to braise overnight. But you could stick this in a deep pan covered in foil and on a slow temperature in the oven. Et voila! You should have some beautifully braised lamb shank where the meat just falls off the bone. Which is exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm going to separate all the meat from the bones. And I'll be left with this lovely braised lamb meat. Strain off the juice from the slow cooker or pan or whatever you use. Strain it all off because we're going to make two different sauces out of this. I'm going to chuck the bay leaves back in and then it's time to make a roux. We're going to use a couple of tablespoons of unsalted butter and half a cup of flour to just make a roux. This is going to help us thicken the base sauce. Then I am going to put 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, or as they say in America, Worcestershire sauce. After the sauce is brought back up to the boil, slowly add the roux till I am pleased with the texture and consistency. Make sure to simmer the sauce long enough to cook the flour out. And then we're going to add it back to the braised meat and season with salt and pepper. The rest of this base gravy will be saved for the red wine sauce later on. This is one of my favourite recipes for mashed potatoes. Where else do you get to eat an entire bulb of garlic? Roasting garlic takes a lot of the sharpness out and makes it very mellow. Just going to drizzle it with a liberal amount of olive oil and roast it in the oven until it's golden brown. And then bring these russet potatoes to the boil. Once they are fully cooked, that means they'll drop off a knife, strain them and let them dry out. Release all of the cloves out of the garlic by pressing a knife down on the outside of the bulb. They should just pop straight out. Look at all that garlic. I found a grinder on Amazon for like $32 and it's brilliant and it's great for mashing potatoes as well. And then bring to the boil the milk and throw in the butter. A couple of tablespoons of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. When you want to taste the oil, extra virgin is the way to go on most Western cuisines. And then we're going to add our silky juice, the milk and butter, and make these potatoes mega silky. Season it, of course, and add a bit more extra virgin just to make it that bit much more silky, and finish with some vibrant fresh green parsley. When I first approached this, I wanted to make loads of little quenelles around the top, but it didn't seem to look that much better than just smacking it on, smoothing it out, and giving it the little traditional crisscross design. So it's a shepherd's pie, but you know, just as a side challenge, I will try and make it the most fancy looking shepherd's pie on the planet when I go to do shepherd's pie 2.0. And then this is going to go in the oven on 400 degrees for roughly 15 to 20 minutes. So a quick way to use the rest of the Shiraz, unless of course you just want to drink it, is to make a red wine reduction. I'm just going to thinly slice these shallots because we're going to strain them out eventually, and they're going to get sauteed in a wee bit of unsalted butter with the 5 whole cloves till they get sweated down. Sweating just means cooking the onions down and drawing the sugars out without giving them any colour or caramelization. So you just kind of simmer them on low heat for quite a while until they're really soft. I'm going to add some of the base gravy and reduce. I found that it wasn't quite as clovish as I wanted it to be, so I put a couple of pinches of whole clove powder in there and then brought it down to the texture that you see here, which is just nice and silky. So I, of course, wanted to find something sweet and slightly sour, like some astringency to balance out the starch and the richness of the rest of the dish. So I went with these heirloom carrots that I found with some shallots, sugar and orange juice. Blanched them off in boiling water for about 6 or 7 minutes till they bend but don't break, and then run them under cold water. Finally chop the shallot. The size of shallot doesn't matter, you can do it however you want. I like them small like this for this purpose. And then the trusty old couple of tablespoons of unsalted butter, and just sweat these shallots off and throw the carrots in. Give them a nice saute before we add the sugar. Cook the sugar till it's fully dissolved, and then deglaze with the white wine vinegar and the orange juice. Finish with parsley, and voila, she's done. She's ready to serve. So I ended up consulting Wikipedia anyways. Turns out it's always been called cottage pie up until the 18th century. They then called it shepherd's pie, and you can make it with beef or lamb, it doesn't matter, you can make it with whatever you want, and you can call it either cottage pie or shepherd's pie, doesn't matter. Call it what you want. Stop fighting with each other, call it what you want. I interrupt this program to bring you a short story called The Death of a Pineapple, and to ask you to like, subscribe, but most importantly, just share it. That helps me out more than anything. Just share the video with somebody you think will appreciate it. Thank you very much. Not sure Winston Churchill was exactly talking about food or not, but the saying applies all the same. He said, "Without tradition, art is but a flock of sheep with no shepherd, but without innovation, it is but a corpse." So let me know what you do with Shepherd's Pie 2.0, rather, in the comments. I'll see you next time. Bye.